What's up, y'all? I'm Jay Hawk. Welcome to our Deadly Class review / recap. If you liked that opening track that you saw in the theme, that is my band, The Lion of Wall Street, whose page you actually just so happen to be on. Go check out our other shows like Good Time Style, which is basically like our tour vlog. We also have Evil Things, which is us sitting around discussing things we find awesome. Evil Things. So, and then now we also have this. So if you're just stumbling in on episode 6, go back to episode 1, watch all of them. Like, comment, subscribe. There's going to be a link down in the description, but check us out on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Just Google The Lion of Wall Street. So let's talk about episode 6. So the episode opens with Maria crying while being tied up in some sort of dungeon of some sort, but she's being tied up by the principal of King's Dominion. She is a woman who we later come to find out is actually Master Lin's sister. There is a scene between the two of them where they delve a little into their childhood, and although the principal does show a little bit of emotion in that scene, for the most part, she's pretty cold and unflinching in all of her decisions, and we'll talk a little bit more about her later. It's been a month since the events of episode 5 happened, and the students involved are slowly being interviewed by the principal. And as Maria is eventually let go, Saya comes into the room, and they cross each other. There's clearly already tension between the two of them as they kind of make eye contact. There's a little bit of heated tension between the two of them. Concern also as well, but there's also something else going on there. We come to find out that Marcus and Maria are officially dating after another Marcus inner manifesto monologue that this time specifically about depression. This writing is just incredible, and I really do find Rick Remender to be a genius, but I worry that these are going to grow tiresome for most viewers. These manifestos that Marcus seems to keep going on. It's growing concerning for me. I enjoy them. I feel like I can relate. I was a very depressed kid in high school, and I felt like these are just some of the same things, with a lack of intelligence that I would be saying, but I don't know how well this is going to continue for as the show goes on. Is the casual viewer going to appreciate this as much as I do? I don't think so. But we'll just find out. So let's continue talking about Marcus and Maria dating, because at some point Maria finds Marcus in the shower, gives him a gift for their 1-month anniversary, and a new to relationships Marcus basically finds out that this is something he probably needs to reciprocate. He didn't realize he had to get her a gift, but he probably should get her one now. Something was really weird about this scene, because she actually gets the towel from him, because he's in the showers and he's wrapped up in only a towel. And I was surprised at how much we actually do get to see of him. We get a pretty good shot of fresh pubis, right there. I mean, you can just clearly see this guy's pubes. And I thought that was pretty bold for sci-fi. We do not get to see prime peen, but we do get to see fresh pubes. So if you're into pubes, then go and check that out. But I thought it was really bold for sci-fi, and I have to point it out. What can I do? So it looks as if the subplot of Billy's father being murdered by him and Marcus is all but wrapped up. At some point, Billy does tell Marcus that he's comfortable with it. So it really does kind of feel that seems to be over with. I mean, it might come up to some extent later, but for the most part, that just seems to be over. And really what more of the episode is about is the aftermath of Chico's death and the visit Marcus got from Chester in the elevator while he was on his 7-hit acid trip. So that really is more of the point of this specific episode. Let's see. I feel that since Chico is gone, characters like Brandy and Victor are going to start taking center stage. Chico felt like one of the main opposing figures to Marcus. But now that he's gone, these characters that were a little bit more comedic, like Brandy and Victor, might start becoming more and more threatening. So we're just going to have to find that out. That's my theory, at least. Let's see. Moving on. During this scene, okay, let's see. I feel that since, okay, I covered that. And it's apparent because, after a scene in which Brandy is telling Maria she believes Maria killed Chico, sorry. During this scene, Brandy is basically kind of slowly torturing Maria, teasing her, telling her, I think you killed Chico, blah, blah, blah. A bunch of these hooded ninjas pop out of nowhere, and Maria, Saya, and Brandy have to fend them all off. A big fight ensues, and Brandy eventually attacks both Saya and Maria in order to take out most ninjas. We come to find out that this is, of course, an exercise for their atypical combat skills class, which we saw a lot earlier in the season. I can't remember exactly which episode that was, but it is a class that we're familiar with. So they're in their atypical combat skills class, and we see that the principal is actually in on viewing this specific class today. So we're getting to see this principal a lot more. So she's in on the viewing of the class, and the teacher basically gives Maria a C, Saya an A, and Brandy an F for basically being a piece of crap. I can't remember exactly how he put it, but something to that extent. And the principal completely disagrees and wants to fail Saya and Maria because she feels they should have seen Brandy's attack on both of them two coming. Because, the teacher disagrees, and so that comes back up later on in the episode. Let's see. We later on see Marcus and Willie together at a comic shop that they both apparently work at. They kind of just graze over that, but I didn't even know Willie worked at a comic shop. But I guess it makes sense. They're both into comics, but I mean, I would have loved to have worked at a comic shop when I was a teenager. How did they get that job? But anyways, Willie's visibly upset by the events that took place in Vegas. It just goes to show more and more how his character's not cut out for this life. He doesn't share the same ability to become numb after such events, that Maria and Saya and Marcus, they've become accustomed to murder and all these really horrible things, and Willie just still really hasn't. He's not comfortable. He's still really messed up after the events that took place. And then randomly, a girl approaches Willie while in the comic book shop, and he treats her pretty horribly, not paying attention to him, paying attention to her or really anything else, really. And after he treats her like such crap, Marcus basically convinces him to, like, hey, you need to go approach her, and she might have been into you in some kind of way, So he approaches her, and eventually they start getting along. It is apparent that she was into Willie, so... and I gotta say, I'm a little bit weary of this. To me, it's too perfect. I think that she has some ulterior motive, but we'll come to find out. I can tell you, I don't remember this from the comics, so this is just my personal guess. I really think that this character coming along, she happens to read comics exactly like Willie, just has a lot in common with him. It just seems a little too perfect for me, and he even tells Marcus, like, you're my witness, I'm going to marry this girl, So he's head over heels almost immediately as soon as he starts giving her a chance. So, we'll just kind of see where that goes. Going back to what I was saying about how characters like Brandy and Victor are going to become a lot more important now that Chico is gone, we see Victor set to torture Shabnam in the shower. Marcus stops this from happening after some witty lines questioning Victor's sexuality, but this upsets Shabnam as he thinks this is only going to make things worse for him. I'm not going to go too deeply into this scene. Victor is still slightly comedic at this point. The only other thing I'll say about Shabnam is that there is a scene later on in which Marcus is making a mixtape for Maria for their 1-month anniversary, and he catches him. I think that all this is illustrating is that Marcus and Maria are not going to be able to hide their relationship for very long. As far as Brandy goes, there is another scene later on in the episode that shows the ruthlessness of the principal, taking down the atypical combat skills teacher, and she tells Brandy to make sure he never forgets what grade she deserves. So there is a physical fight between the principal and the atypical combat skills teacher. I can't remember his name, so I'm just going to have to keep repeating that teacher. So the principal gets into a fight with this teacher, and it is extremely one-sided. She puts an ass whipping on him, and basically tells Brandy, make sure he never forgets what grade you deserve, which prompts her to walk up with a blade of some sort and carve an A into his forehead. And he takes it like a champ. The principal's got him all, tied up and held down and stuff, and he just sits there kind of like bearing through it, but so it does kind of go to show that my theory that those characters are going to become more important is starting to happen. Let's go on to my next point, Maria. We find out from Saya that Maria is actually bipolar, which explains her erratic behavior through the series, but especially this episode. Saya is delivering this news to Marcus in a very unflinching fashion, very unforgiving, and explaining to him that Maria is his problem now. And he needs to convince Maria to get back on her medication because apparently Maria has not been taking it. It's clear that's not why she's upset though, or not entirely why she's upset though, and and Marcus calls her out on this. She might just happen to be jealous of the new relationship between Marcus and Maria. There's some silent heat between Marcus and Saya, whom I think Marcus feels a lot more strongly for Saya than he does for Maria. But Maria feels so strongly for Marcus that he feels, and Marcus is this type that, I don't think he wants to let anybody down. He really wants to be, have some sort of familial support, and, having a girlfriend is, really, the closest thing he's got to normal for a long time. So, although I think he does feel a little bit more strongly for Saya, he is with Maria. Eventually, during this scene, when Saya and it almost looks as if they're about to kiss or something. There's Saya and Marcus are getting face to face. An arrow just comes right into the scene, and Saya catches it right out of thin air. Very ninja of her. Once again, just one of my favorite characters. Catches it right out of thin air. It basically grazes Marcus's cheek, and Marcus chases down the culprit, to which we come to find out is actually Maria. Catches her pretty quickly, and, he's clearly very shocked by this. I don't think she meant to kill Marcus, as it only grazed his cheek. She's just mentally ill, and the inner voice telling her that Saya will eventually take her away from her, is just kind of driving her to do these really kind of outlandish things, She clearly just needs to be back on her medication. She begs Marcus's forgiveness, and he clearly feels for her. And after finding out that she's bipolar, and it's in this moment that they decide to sleep together for the very first time, right there on the rooftop there. Once again, pretty revealing scene for sci-fi. I was just very surprised at the amount of skin they're willing to show. I mean, nothing was really exposed, but I was surprised that a channel like Sci-Fi was willing to take it that far. So finally, throughout some of the episode, we've been exposed to Chester being his usual psychopathic self through various scenes, but the most important being that he calls Marcus on the phone at King's Dominion, where his motivation becomes clear. Marcus has been given credit for burning down the boys' home they both came from. Chester actually burned it down. This drives Chester mad. Chester wants the recognition for this and tells him that if he doesn't receive this, he will reveal that Marcus and his friends are responsible for Chico's death. which he could very easily do, seeing as he has Chico's severed head sitting in a bucket of ice. So I think the Chester situation is what we will see play out in the season finale, which does free up my theory that Brandy and Victor are going to become a lot more important. I think Chester. I think the Chester situation is going to play out in the season finale, and I think that if we get a season 2, which I really hope we do, I think that's where Victor and Brandy are going to start taking the reins, especially Victor, in my opinion. This was one of my favorite episodes so far. I thought it was a little bit darker. It did feel a little bit like filler, but not so much because the cast is just so great. Especially Maria, probably my favorite character up to this point. So that does it for Deadly Class episode 6. Let's wait for next week to watch episode 7. I'm really excited to see where this goes. There's only going to be 10 episodes this season, so make sure to come back here for every single one of these reviews. Make sure to check out The Lion of Wall Street. That is my band. You are on our page. Go check out all the videos. Have some fun. Leave some comments. Talk some shit to us. Who cares? Have some fun with it. It is the internet. So that's it for me. I'm Jayhawk. This has been my Deadly Class review / recap. Y'all have a good one.